Good morning, dear students of class 12. Welcome to the English online learning class. We are going to take up part 9 of the lesson Ivan tries an O level. So, till now we had done how Ivan he had managed to escape in the disguise of McClary. This is what the jail officials they thought, because Stephens, when he escorted McClary out of the prison, he noticed certain things about McClary. McClary was overdoing his Scottish accent and his overcoat seemed longer. But then he thought that it was just an illusion. But when Stephens thought of checking in Ivan's prison, to his horror, he found that the invigilator, McClary, was in the cell, injured, bleeding, and Ivan was not there. So the person whom he had escorted out of the cell, Oxford prison, was actually Ivan's in the disguise of McClary. Now there was panic in Oxford prison. Stephens rushed, informed Jackson. Jackson came there and he instructed Stephens to ring the police and ambulance because the injured McClary had to be given hospital assistance. Now let us continue further. McClary slowly raised himself, his face twisted tightly with pain. Dinna worry about the ambulance man. I'm right. Get the police, I know. Where he? He closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed with a huge red raindrop on the wooden floor. His hand felt along the table, found the German question paper and grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hand. Get the governor. I know. Where's Evans? But McClary was trying to comfort Jackson and Stephens by saying, don't worry about him. But the person who has to be really searched and found is Evans. And he knows where Evans is. He wanted the governor to come immediately. Almost immediately, sirens were sounding. Prison officers barked order. Now there was panic, there was pandemonium. Prison officers, they were not giving orders, they were barking orders. That shows how panicked they were. Puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors. Doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. So even the prisoners were puzzled. What was wrong? Only the ringing of phones could be heard everywhere, banging and bolting of doors and barking of the orders by the officers. And within a minute, McClary, with Jackson and Stephens supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim. The governor was confused and serious. In spite of all the security arrangements, Ivan had managed to escape right in front of their nose and in the disguise of McClary. We must get you to the hospital immediately. I just don't. So the governor showed concern for the injured McClary and said that we must get you to the hospital immediately. He called the police. So McClary did not worry about his injuries. Rather, he wanted the police to be informed. Yes, they're on their way, but. So the governor said, yes, the police has already been informed. I'm alright. Look here. Awkwardly, he opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. It's there. Do you see what I mean? So he was telling the governor that he has managed to decode the German question paper, and he thrust it before the governor's face, in excitement telling him, just try to comprehend what does it mean. The governor looked down and realized what McClary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly superimposed over the last originally blank page of the question paper. "You see what they have done, Governor, you see." His voice trailed off again as the governor, dredging the layers of long neglected learning, willed himself to translate the German text before him. So the governor, who had read German long back, was trying to comprehend. You must follow the plan. Already something. The vital point in time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination. But something, something, something. Don't hit him too hard. Remember, he's a minister, and don't overdo the Scots accent well. So these instructions were there in the superimposed sheet, that the last 3 minutes are very crucial when the exam is about to get over. But then don't hit McClary very hard. And also when you get out of the prison, don't overdo the Scots accent. A fast approaching siren wailed to its crescendo. So one could hear a car coming with great speed, and the noise of the siren was there, and it reached its highest limit. The great doors of the prison yard were pushed back, and a white police car squeaked to a jerky halt beside them. So a white police car just entered the prison and came to a halt just beside them. Detective Superintendent Carter swung himself out of the passenger seat and saluted the governor. "What's the hell's happening, sir?" And turning to McClary, "Christ, who's hit him?" So Detective Superintendent Carter had arrived, and he saluted the governor, and he wanted to know what was wrong. And then he turned his attention to McClary and wanted to know who had hit him. But McClary cut across whatever explanation to the governor might have been given. "Elsfield Way, officer, I know where Evans is." He was breathing heavily and leaned over the support against the side of the car where the imprint of his hand was left in tarnished crimson. So the imprint of his hand, because it was breathing still, it made a red mark. And he was breathing heavily, and he says to Superintendent Carter, "It is the Elsfield Way. He knows the way." In bewilderment, Carter looked to the governor for guidance. He wanted to know what would be the governor's advice. "Take him with you. If you think he'll be all right. He's the only one who seems to know what's happening." So the governor also said to Superintendent Carter, "It is best you take him with you because he knows where Evans has left." Carter opened the back door and helped McClary inside, and within a few seconds the car leaped away in a spurt of gravel. So Superintendent Carter, he took McClary in the car, and the car just rushed away. We'll stop here today and we'll continue with part 10 in tomorrow's class. Thank you.